Tonight, on a very special episode of the Football Fignuts podcast, Britt and Sinch talk about Odell Beckham Jr. and Aaron Rodgers, just for you, and maybe $240 worth of pudding. Enjoy. Hi, Deb. Welcome back.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts podcast. If you're keeping track at home, this is Season 5, Episode 18, 212 overall. I am Sinch, in for Craig.
And my name is Britt. And Sinch, we are back. Sinch, thank you so much for stepping in. For those of you who are used to hearing the dulcet tones of Mr. Craig, he is taking a back seat today and doing some behind-the-boards sound work today. So you won't hear him, but he is here. So let me start, but even before we start the beers and see if we can't get him to turn his mic on and tempt him into it. Sinch, I think the Bengals are really overrated this year. Joe Burrow might be the worst quarterback we've seen in the last 15 years. Your thoughts?
I have to disagree with you. I don't think anyone rated them.
No one did, right?
How could they be overrated?
I guess if you rate them at all.
Whoa.
There he is.
Easy there.
So
let's take it down a notch, shall we?
So Craig is resting his voice today, folks. If you've listened to our show at all, you know both of us are allergy sufferers, and Craig's has been taking a toll on him. So he said to me, I could sound like I have the flu, or we can have Sinch on. And I said, let's get Sinch. So Sinch, thank you for joining us. So before we even listen to me, I start coughing. So before we get into the news, and there's a ton of it, let's start where we always start. Sinch, what are you drinking tonight?
I have something from Treehouse. I have Juicy Project.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the name. It's the one with a mad scientist on the front here, and yeah.
Does it say any type of hops on the side of it? Because sometimes I think there's a couple of those, and they like the one I had was Citra and something.
Imperial IPA, Treehouse, deviating from our customary process, utilized a small amount of hop extract in the kettle and saved the entirety of the hoppiness of the hoppy onslaught, the cold side of the brewing process. Adjusted the base beer, crafting it to carry a bigger body and denser mouthfeel. And Juice Project, resulting in this has got to be great listening, a deft balance of flavors. Taste the juice of freshly harvested oranges, mango, marmalade, tropical fruit punch, and overripe pineapple.
Okay, let me...
Pure bliss in a can. God damn it.
I've heard all of those flavors described before except marmalade. I have never heard someone tell me that there's a marmalade flavor in a beer, so I am fascinated. Yep, he's popping it open. So while he's giving that a taste, I will let you folks know, Craig, cue the music. I am drinking a holiday ale from Two Roads because it's that time of year. And I brought a second beer in with me tonight, and my second beer tonight will be Holiday Ale by Two Roads. So I bought my customary case of it last week, and it's pretty much all I'll drink for the rest of the year. So, all right, Sinch, tell us about the Juicy Project from Treehouse. How's it taste?
It's good. It's juicy. I get orange. I don't know if I get anything else.
That's fair.
I'm not a good. Words are hard.
But you know what? That's a better analysis than you typically give yourself credit for. I mean, typically you're just like, I don't know what you guys are looking for here, but you're pulling out the orange. That's good, and it's something you're saying is juicy, and it's something you like. That's great analysis.
Tastes like beer.
And it tastes like beer. But you know what doesn't taste like beer? I'm going to tell you what doesn't taste like beer, because that's the way segues work. Odell Beckham Jr. So this week we have two big news stories out there. We're gonna focus on them and skip the burning hot takes because this is probably what we're talking about in burning hot takes anyway. The first one would be Odell Beckham Jr. being released by the Browns. The least shocking conclusion. Quote, no, too many letters. I've already got an AB. I don't need an OBJ. Sinch, thoughts on OBJ and him being free, so to speak?
Okay, well, first I would like to begin with, I really hope that the recording has the sound that you were making that I heard, because I didn't hear your voice. I just heard someone playing a really bad keyboard for every sound your voice made. So I have no idea what you said the whole time you were talking.
Was it
But
a
about
sad
free-
keyboard?
It was. It was ding, 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 ding. But anyway, free OBJ.
Yes.
From what? From being open? He wasn't open that much. He has 17 catches, I think, on the season.
From the sideline,
on.
maybe? I mean, what was his play share this year? It was like terrible, right? They didn't even use him.
He has something like 41 catches, I think, over the last 2 full seasons. He hasn't been a good wide receiver since the 2019 season. And even then, I believe he had a 1,000-yard season. When's the last time you remember hearing or seeing a big highlight of him scoring a touchdown? Or
Yeah.
a big play? Or, 8 catches for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. It feels like he hasn't had that. That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
I don't understand the whole free him thing. I don't get it.
Stand by for a second. Okay. So, I got to do some quickie math here because it's not computing this for me. If I had to say, guess what percentage of snaps he was on the field for this year, what would your guess be? Because that's what a lot of people look at is what percentage of the snaps are you involved in that dictates how involved in an offense you actually are. So what percentage of the snaps from 2021, and keep in mind he was inactive weeks 1 and 2. He wasn't active until week 3. So he technically only had 6 chances to appear. He wasn't active week 9. So he only has 6 potential chances to appear. What percentage of the snaps would you say he was on the field for? Based on just eyeball.
I would say 10%.
It feels like it, right? What if I told you that he was on the field for 68.7% of all offensive snaps in the games he played this year? And that's how little we've heard his name.
All right, I'm going to play the Mike Lupica game with you.
What's that?
For those of you, including you, that don't know the Mike Lupica game.
I know Mike Lupica.
The game, though, is where I both defend and say I don't want anything to do with the guy.
Okay.
So the Browns' offense is very, very run heavy.
Yeah.
They don't really want to throw the ball.
No, they don't.
So, I mean, you're not going to have a Baker Mayfield 30 for 48 attempt game. They want to avoid that at all costs. Mm-hmm. And then when they're throwing it, they like to throw to the running backs or the tight ends.
Sure.
So in that respect, I give him a pass.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, and I've said this to you guys off air,
sure,
I'm a Patriot fan. I don't want the Patriots to sign him. I don't think he's worth the aggravation. I think any team that has a receiver that says, I need more targets, I need more targets, I need more targets, that just gets into the quarterback's head. I want the young quarterback on my team thinking I have to find the open guy, not I've got to throw it to OBJ.
And to that point, so we've already established he's been on the field for 2/3 or better on average of offensive snaps. How many targets would you say a decent receiver needs to be involved in a game? Because I usually go between 5 and 10. I mean, plus 10 targets, you're probably a stud. So 5 to 10 targets is what I target in my head. What would you say?
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say like 6 to 10.
Okay, well then let me tell you this. Of the 6 games he appeared for in Cleveland, he was targeted 6 or more times in 4 of the 6 games. So here's where we have. He's on the field 68% of the time, and 66% of the time he's in those games, and 66% of those games, he's targeted a minimum of 6 times. And yet, he has 17 catches for 230 yards. At what point do we stop here and say, it's not that we're not involving you. It's not that you're uninvolved in the offense. It's that you stink. Because that's where I'm at. You stink.
I can't understand why, we don't know. Maybe no one is interested. But if you go online, 7 different teams, every team in the NFL is calling and begging this guy. I don't get it. No,
And I don't think he is. I think he's overstated his value. I really do.
You know what?
Go
You
ahead.
see all of these experts, the Adam Schefters of the world, saying this team is definitely interested. He's talked with these teams. These teams are expected to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, maybe no one's involved. Maybe one team is involved. And
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're going to finish my sentence. I know you are. Go ahead.
Well, no. I hear where you're going with this. So we've established that he's on the field. We've established that targets have come his way, and we've established that he was unhappy and wanted to be released, and he's claiming that teams want him. Let me take you a trip down memory lane. The last time Odell Beckham Jr. had a 100-yard game, and this was posted by Football Analysis on Twitter, the following statements were true. Stephon Diggs was a Minnesota Viking. Tom Brady was a New England Patriot. Joe Burrow was in college. And Luke, I botch his name all the time. Luke Kuechly was still playing for the Carolina Panthers. That is how long it has been since he has had a 100-yard game. Diggs has been in Buffalo, what? Is this his 3rd season? Joe Burrow's in his second season? Joe Burrow's in his second season. Tom Brady's in his second season in Tampa. People just sit there. Okay, Odell has not been good for a while. The only thing Odell has needed freeing from is his ego and a kicking net. That's it. The rest of it is all prisons of his own making because he thinks he should be more involved than he is. Maybe he should be. I'm sorry. When you get 6 targets against Denver and you catch 2 for 23 yards, it's not the targeting. When you get 7 targets at Minnesota and you catch 2 in a game, by the way, that the final score was 14-7. You're right. Cleveland doesn't want to pass. You're absolutely right when you say that. But in a 14-7 game, you caught 2 out of 7 targets? It's not like you blew them out and they didn't throw the ball. It was a 7-point game. I'm just saying.
Well, all of that being said, if he signs with my team, I'm pulling for him to do well and be successful, but
I'm not.
I don't know.
I'm
well,
not.
I know
because,
you don't like my team.
No, not your team. I'm taking the opposite point. If he goes to Kansas City, he is going to be pissed off in under 3 weeks because in my head, and granted, I pray at the church of Byron Pringle. Granted, in my head, he is at best the 4th wide receiver on that team. He's behind Hill, he's behind Hardman, and he's behind what the guy's name just blew out of my head. And how could I be Gordon? And
See,
honestly,
I disagree strongly, but that's fine.
I think Gordon is going to get if Gordon can keep his head on straight, and I think this is what the Chiefs are doing differently than every other team that's brought Josh Gordon on. They're not throwing him into the mix. They're trying to bring him in. Josh Gordon does not respond well to pressure. I think it's a mental thing, and it's not a mental thing like Mackie Sasser being unable to throw the ball back to the pitcher. This is a genuine mental illness on his part, and he just needs to be able to manage it. And you're not going to manage it by saying, all right, you've been here 2 weeks, get ready for 10 targets. I don't think that's the way to manage something like that. So I think Josh Gordon would be a better asset. I think you could make the argument that Demarcus Robinson is better person for that offense too. So at best, he's wide receiver 5 in my head. So and if the problem is, I'm not involved in the offense, well then you're not going to be in the offense in Kansas City either. So why would you go there?
Sometimes these guys just get fed up where they are, and he was a superstar with the Giants. He was a big time player in college. He's nothing with Cleveland.
Yeah,
he's a guy. He's a jag.
He's a guy.
So he wants all this attention. It's all about him everywhere he goes. Wherever he goes, it'll be about him until they see him play, and then it's not about him anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of people who are all about them, it's time for your weekly Aaron Rodgers update. If you were here during the preseason, you know that Craig and I spent a long period of time talking about Aaron Rodgers' potential to report. What we didn't anticipate was his potential to report as a bigger douchebag than he was when he left. And yeah, I shouldn't say that. That's very judgmental. But Aaron Rodgers appeared again on the Pat McAfee podcast to question why he got backlash from his first appearance when he blamed his current situation on the woke mob and making sure that he followed mandates. He did really no favors to himself with this appearance either, quote saying, "I shared an opinion that's polarizing, I get it, and I misled some people about my status, which I take full responsibility of those comments. But in the end, I have to stay true to who I am and what I'm about. I stand behind the things that I said," end quote. Sinch, I know you and I are not on vastly different pages on this particular issue, so I'm going to turn it over to you for a solid 2 minutes. What the holy hell?
I don't need 2 minutes. These were this last, what has it been, 8, 9 days now, 10 days?
Yeah.
It's been a lot of words that just come out to Aaron Rodgers is a douchebag asshole.
That's really where I'm at too.
No one needed me or you or anyone else to say this. If you're following football for years now, you see that. And, there's no denying his talent. I have said all along, I've told you guys since before there was a podcast, he's overrated. It's like, how could someone as good as him be overrated? I don't know. I don't have the right answer. But you watch him in the biggest games when you need him most, and something happens. I'm not saying it's his fault every time, but he's too good. His teams all season long are too good for him to be in the league this many years and have one Super Bowl. Only been to one.
He's only been to that one, right? He hasn't been to another one.
Yes, he's only been to one. And yes, he won. Good for him. And he is a great quarterback. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Something's missing. I don't know. Something's not there.
So you're telling me that there is a possibility you could be a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback and have won at least one Super Bowl and still be a cheater, Tom Brady. And you're saying that those two things are conjunctively possible.
At this moment in our history, do you, Mr. Patrick Mahomes Chiefs fans,
yes,
want to go to the whole quarterback debate? Because your guy is 24, 25, and the way he's played, he's 45.
My guy's vaccinated. My guy's vaccinated with a title and 0 scandals.
Yeah, he's something.
I pray at the Church of Patrick. Listen, the Church of Byron Pringle adjoins to the Church of Patrick Mahomes. There's a corridor in between for those of us who need to hear both sermons, and that is where my chair is.
And sit there. I resent the fact that you make me say something bad about Mahomes because you know.
Oh, you love Patrick Mahomes. I have
been a Mahomes backer since.
Oh, absolutely.
His first start.
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, to be fair to everyone listening, people who are listening right now, Sinch was actually behind Patrick Mahomes before I was. I thought the Alex Smith trade was premature. And that is absolutely 100% fact. He's absolutely right. So we're kind of messing with each other right now. But back to the more stringent point about Aaron Rodgers, which is where we're really actually going. This is not, I'm not trying. We know that Sinch is easily triggered when it comes to Tom Brady discussion. That's why we bring it up all the time. And he knows I'm very easily triggered about Patrick Mahomes. That's why we're messing with each other right now. But this is about Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, let me interrupt for something.
Uh-oh.
No, this is a thought that I just had while we were talking.
Okay.
Where are all of the people, all of the teammates, all of the former teammates of Aaron Rodgers? Why is no one jumping up defending him?
That's,
There's got to be. That's what I'm talking about. There's got to be a reason. Maybe
there's only one.
Maybe the fact that me here in Connecticut saying this guy is an asshole. Maybe I'm right, and the people that deal with him all the time say, the hell with him. He got himself in trouble. Good. I'm not going to back him up.
Well, to your point, earlier this year, Jermichael Finley shredded him on somebody else's show, saying that Aaron Rodgers' work ethic was questionable at best. I mean, that was big news back in September. Called him selfish and disliked by his teammates. So, there's a lot of you're not wrong in that. You're not wrong in that at all. Where was I going with this? After I totally got sidetracked there for a second. Oh,
let's talk about White.
The only person who's actually come to his defense is AJ Hawk, who is on the Pat McAfee podcast, which explains too why all of his communication has been through the Pat McAfee podcast. Because
Makes sense now.
I'm a screaming liberal. Everyone who knows me knows that about me. And, one of the things Rodgers said was, that's why I'm very neutral. That's why I won't go on Fox News, or that's why I won't go on CNN. So instead you chose a friendly outlet. That's no different than playing politics. That's no different than saying this particular news channel is friendly to my cause, so that's the one I'm going to go on. That's just an excuse. AJ Hawk runs this podcast, and I know he's not going to hold me accountable, so I'll go on this podcast. No. That's the easy way out without taking the easy way out. And that drives me nuts. Most importantly, the most important voice to weigh on this is Mark Hamill.
Of course it is.
Mark Hamill earlier today tweeted that, quote, of all the sweatshirts he could have worn, he had to take full responsibility in that one, end quote. And because on the second appearance, he's wearing a Star Wars Rise of Skywalker sweatshirt. Here's the bottom line. Rodgers lied. He can spin it any way he wants. But he lied. Well, he never said he was vaccinated. That's correct. But then he followed the vaccinated protocols. That's lying. Well, he said the team knew. Then the team lied to the league. Well, maybe the league never asked them, which was the point of the source, by the way. The source was like, how do we know how the league is clean in this? We don't. But this speaks to the very kind of prima donna attitude that he encountered when he got to Green Bay. Is everyone so quick to forget that when he got to Green Bay, Brett Favre was like, fuck this guy. I'm not doing a damn thing for him. I'm the quarterback. Has everyone forgotten that? How can you behave like this after you were the recipient of that exact level of prima donna behavior? And yet here we are. Like, seriously, Aaron Rodgers, what the actual fuck? Come on. Well, it's his choice to get vaccinated. Then he needs to follow the non-vaccinated protocols. I don't care if it's an alternate therapy. I don't care if it was a shaman. I don't care if it was a goddamn voodoo priest. If you don't take the vaccine, you follow the unvaccinated protocols. And if you do that, then you can get away with saying things like immunized to the press. But he didn't. He didn't follow all the protocols. Well, he said he followed most of the protocols, but he didn't follow all of them. And that's all that matters. Go ahead and ask a traffic. Next time you get pulled over, tell a traffic cop you followed most of the traffic laws except one and see if he lets you off. Did I lose Sinch?
No, I'm here.
He's just letting me go.
You just go.
I am tired of this excuse, and the league needs to come down hard on everybody. The fine they gave the Packers is minimal. The fine they gave Rodgers is minimal. They need to treat this, as hard as I am on Tom Brady, this needs to be treated at least as stringently as they did with the other stuff. Draft picks need to be lost. Games need to be lost. The Packers need to lose, in theory, air quotes, lose their best player for 3 or 4 games in order for the lesson to be learned. You cannot sneak this by the league. But the league doesn't want to do that. The league has already seen what happens when it costs them their premier matchup. Because you cannot tell me that if you asked every NFL official at the beginning of the season to circle a total of 10 games that mattered eyeball-wise to the goddamn Chiefs in the NFL office, that Chiefs versus Packers wasn't one of them. Chiefs-Packers was going to be one of their games of the week. Fox made it a national broadcast. This was going to be Aaron Rodgers making his last run as a Packer versus Patrick Mahomes. Now, the Chiefs didn't hold up their end of the bargain. They lost 4 of their first 7 games. Granted. But the Packers won 7 of their first 8. And what you did was you shot yourself in the foot and you let it happen. This was preventable. All of this was preventable by every level. Rodgers could have prevented it by following the damn restrictions. The team could have prevented it by saying, hey, why isn't he wearing a mask? And isn't he not supposed to be in the room with the media? And the league could have prevented it by saying, hey, look, Aaron Rodgers is talking to the media. Did anybody see his vaccine card? But this was dropped at every fucking level. And every level should be held accountable. All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you're not going to convince me otherwise. I've already had people say to me, oh, but you don't understand. You know what I don't understand? I don't understand how this could be missed by this many people in one of the largest sports enterprises in the history of the world. Billions of dollars are exchanged in NFL franchises and between players and teams and between fans and players every year. How do you miss something this blatant? And the only thing I can come up with is no one wanted to challenge Rodgers.
Well, it comes down to it's all about the money. You're right there. And Goodell believes, I'm guessing, that the best way for him to move forward is for Rodgers to be out there on the field and not suspended.
Yes.
I just think if you look at previous penalties that led to suspensions, how do you not say this doesn't deserve one?
Exactly.
Because it's not that he broke the rule. It's that he blatantly broke the rule for 9 weeks. And if he didn't test positive for COVID, he'd still be breaking the rule.
Absolutely.
And, the NFL just kind of, yeah, it's all right. It's not like they didn't know. They knew. They just didn't want anything to happen because, hey, it's Aaron Rodgers. You need him on the field.
And to that point, that's contrary to what the NFL has told us their stance is. Because they have punished Tom Brady. They have punished the Patriots. Oh, we're above all of that. We don't cater to our stars. But that's exactly what it looks like here. That's exactly what it looks like.
Look, how many times did the NFL suspend? Who's that guy? I'm blanking on his name. The guy that played for the Bengals. Bengals linebacker. Maybe Craig could jump in or send a text or something.
Yeah,
the Bengals
blow your
linebacker.
Nose and jump in here, Allergy Man. Who are we talking about? I know exactly what you're talking about. The defensive guy who constantly got suspended. There he is.
Vontez Perfect, is that what you're talking about?
Thank you.
There you go. The guy that tried to kill and decapitate, what's his name?
Well, yeah, we won't.
can't
I don't
think of
have
his
enough
first name.
voice to go into that right now. So,
And who's that guy? Sinch is now experiencing what we experience every week. He's like, I have a great point to make, but I can't remember the goddamn name.
Antonio Brown. So Burfict tried to kill Antonio Brown on the field. Literally tried to kill him.
Allegedly.
And no,
Allegedly.
literally. He tried to kill him. He tried to take his head and remove it from the body. He tried to pull the helmet with the head inside off. But anyway, this guy is out of the league now, I think just because of fines. Because now he earned it, right? He did. He earned it. And when the NFL said, you need to change and not do that, he just kept doing it. But the NFL gets their sights on certain players and just doesn't let it go. And other players do the same kind of stuff, and nothing happens. I think we need to move on, though. We've spent enough time on this douchebag and Goodell and everybody else. We need to talk about the referees in the Bears-Steelers game. Because it was an embarrassment.
I'm going to give you 2 minutes on that because I'll be honest, I fell asleep. And I know it was a major issue and I read all the articles, but I didn't see it live. And we do want to get to America's favorite game and our picks for DFS. So since you go ahead, 2 minutes, you have the floor here. Go for it.
I'll be very brief.
No, don't be brief because I got to use the restroom.
Okay, well, here's what it was. If the Steelers hit fourth down, there'd be a penalty giving them first down. If the Bears got a touchdown, there'd be a phantom random penalty that even the announcers on the game were saying, wait a minute, that's not a penalty. That would take away that touchdown and put them in a 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20. It was the worst officiating that I've seen since the Seattle Steelers Super Bowl of whatever year that was and whatever MXCLII, whatever year, who knows. It's just unfortunate that the referees decide that they need to be the ones that people are turning in to see. People tune in and they want to see what this guy is going to do. And no one's watching for that. You know, if it were about the referees, why is it when we get to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, there are no penalties thrown? The best games of the year, the most watched, the most anticipated, these games go off, and for the most part, sorry Saints fans, there are no penalties in those games. We're talking 3 against this team and 4 against that team. It doesn't even come into play. It doesn't determine who wins. Again, sorry Saints fans. That's what it's like in the most important games of the year. Well, you know what? Sometimes in week 9, that turns out to be the most important game of the year. Sometimes a win in week 9 propels you, gives you the mo, takes you into week 10, 11, 12, into a winning streak. Britt is back. Britt, go ahead.
No, I could not agree more. I mean, I don't know the exact week, but I remember reading and watching coverage of this last year. The Bucs got off to a shaky start. When did the Bucs start their big run?
Last season, it was around week 10, week 9 or 10.
2020. We'll do it live. 2020 schedule. I'm typing.
Like I always say, it's all about the quarterback.
Okay, so at the end of week 12, so again, in that midsection, if you divide the season up into thirds, which I think it was one of the coaches, I might be wrong, I think it was Bill Parcells, who liked to divide things up into thirds or quarters or something like that.
Belichick.
Was it Belichick?
Quarters.
Okay. At the end of week 12, they played their bye week was 13. So at the end of week 12, the Bucs were 7-5 last year. They didn't lose again.
Yeah.
They won 4 straight to end the season, and then barnstormed the quarter. So 11-5. They had to win all 4 to get in as a wild card. It was a wild card, right? Because New Orleans wasn't New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah, New Orleans hosted that game. So to get as a wild card, they had to win the last quarter of the season, and barnstormed the playoffs after that. So there's something to be said about that second half of the year push.
See, that's my point. Who knows? The NFC is top heavy. The 6th, the 7th spot is going to go to a bad team.
Yeah.
Right now, Atlanta is the 7th team in the NFC. But I'm saying, look, what if the Bears win that game? And Fields had by far his best game.
Yeah.
What if they win that game and now that propels them to win next week? And then
Yeah.
the following week. And before you know it, they are a playoff team. And they're a team that believes in themselves. And Allen Robinson catches a pass. Imagine that. It could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm totally with you. All right, so not to cut off that conversation because it is brilliant, but I want to get to America's favorite game of the week. America's favorite game of the week. Jesus, I'm only 2 beers in. America's favorite game. Because I don't want to get sued by Fox. So, Sinch, you're sitting in the big chair today. So you got to take on Craig's role, and I'm going to challenge you with America's favorite game. Craig took picked a good week to be off. Because there are 5 games with over-unders of 50 plus. And if you forget again why we do this, more points scored usually means more fantasy points. These are the games where you can look for values and really strong plays. So since you have 3 strikes, looking at this week's schedule, I want you to tell me the 5 games that have at least an over-under of 50.
5 over under 50.
Get 3 strikes.
I'm going to go to the best team in the league. Now, who is the best team in the league?
Kansas City.
Yeah, you know what?
Hashtag
I was going to say Arizona, but they're playing the Panthers, and their quarterback has a broken shoulder. I didn't know you could break
Arizona's ain't doing so great either. I love Kyler Murray, and he's hurting.
I'm going to pass that one. I'm going to go to the Vikings-Chargers because I think the Vikings will run all over the Chargers.
That's a 51.5. You're absolutely correct. So to that point, you would focus. So you're thinking like this is a Dalvin Cook game?
Big time Dalvin Cook game. Chargers are the 32nd team in the league against the rush.
There it is. Dalvin Cook. All right. Who else? You got one for
the
one.
Monday night game, the Rams 49ers, that's got to be over.
48.5. That is an under. That is an under.
By the way, Kyle Shanahan is not a good head coach.
Agreed.
Putting that out there. He's got an under 500 record. He's not
good. Do you know why that game is under 48.5 in my opinion? Because Stafford looked really not with it this past week. How do you lose to Tennessee? You needed to cover that for me, Rams. You didn't cover.
But you know what? He threw 2 bad passes. And that was the entire game.
That was.
Threw a pick 6, and the second interception, they took it down to the 2-yard line. I mean, that doesn't excuse the fact that they put like no points on the board.
Sure.
That was the whole game. 2 bad passes.
Yeah. All right, so that's strike 1. Still 4 more answers on the board. What do you got for me?
I'm looking. It's a tough week. It looks top heavy. Like one team needs to do all the scoring.
Yeah.
I will go with the greatest quarterback to ever grace the planet. The Washington
Patrick Mahomes.
And Tom Brady and the WTF.
And that is a 51.5. That is correct. So you can't
wait.
trust.
So what you're saying is the greatest quarterback to ever, and that is correct. Okay, go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is that's correct. I said it's 51.5. What I was about to say is I'm not quite sure who I take in that game because Tampa Bay's offense is really subpar with that aging quarterback, and Washington isn't really that good. So I'm not sure who I'm taking in this game. I might just fade this entire game.
Brady's coming off a bye week. I think having the week off, that whole team will. Washington's terrible. I don't know what we were all thinking when we thought they were good.
So what I'm hearing is that Brady might not need a walker this week because that would help
Not
his
this
case.
week, no.
Okay.
This week he'll be okay.
All right, we got 2 down. You got 3 to go.
I am going to go with the Falcons-Cowboys.
Falcons-Cowboys is the highest of the week at 55. Holy
Wow.
crap, am I going to avoid the shit out of that game?
Didn't you just say that the reason for this is that the highest score and you want to go there?
Correct, but who am I trusting on? First off, you can't trust any Falcon at all.
But wait, here's the thing. What do you see for that game? If you see the Cowboys are going to win that game, and you either go with CeeDee Lamb or
Hurt. He's
Everyone's hurt
on the
this time of
injury
year.
report. That's what I'm saying. Who am I trusting? Well, CeeDee Lamb's great. Yeah, but he's on the injury report. Well, Dak's great. He's on the injury report. Ezekiel Elliott is inconsistent and on the injury report. Who do I trust?
Well, you could always use Pitts. I mean, you're paying up for whoever we're talking about. But you could use Pitts. You could use Dak. I would avoid Zeke. I can't think. Who's that guy in? It's CeeDee Lamb and other receiver for the Cowboys.
Oops, I think you just heard that.
This is what happens when you don't draft a guy. He's not on my team. I have no idea who he is.
I'm looking to see where Pitts is. I've got Pitts at 12 points. He's 5,800, which is high, but it's not like Darren Waller high, and I still don't have him more than 12 points. So I think that's a game I'm going to fade just because you're right. If they come off and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Zeke ran for 120 yards, I'm not shocked. But I'm also not shocked if Zeke has 12 carries for 16. Because Atlanta's not good against the run either, but those teams are so inconsistent. Cowboys worried me last week. The last game I watched, they did not look crisp at all. But you're right. It's a 55, so you got 3 down, 2 to go. You got 2 strikes left, too. There's 2 more games on the docket that are over 50, or at least 50.
I just, no matter what happens, I will always fall back. As long as Mahomes is there, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. As long as he's there, I'll still go with the Chiefs. Chiefs Raiders have to be over 50.
51.5. And you know why? Even when the Chiefs struggle, these games are freaking shootouts all the time. If Derek Carr is going to have a 3-touchdown game, it's going to be against the Chiefs. And don't forget, the Chiefs lost at the Raiders last year. Or was it vice versa?
I don't remember.
I think it was vice versa. I think the Raiders lost at the Chiefs. Oh, no, the Raiders won at the Chiefs because they drove their team bus at like 3 a.m. around Arrowhead like 6 times or something like that.
I remember that.
I just remember them doing a victory lap. I think that was at the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs went to the Raiders and won that game by like 30 because they were like, no. But yes, Chiefs, Raiders, everyone is usable. Everyone on both sides of the ball is usable. The only people who aren't usable are the defenses. I have no problem with everybody except for Henry Ruggs. You can't use Henry Ruggs. He's in jail. But everybody else is usable.
Well, the lineup I just did, I have no one from that game in it.
And that's fair. You have to fade certain games. If that game is 15-7, it will be shocking to me, but it's possible. It's possible. All right, we're running out of time. One more game. Come on, you got 2 strikes, 1 more game. You're about to make Craig very angry. He never wins.
That's not true. But anyway, the game I'm looking at that could go from to a really, really good game. Russell Wilson is back for the Seahawks this week. He's going to start. There's an outside chance Aaron Rodgers can be cleared on Saturday and he could play on Sunday. I'll go with the Seahawks-Packers.
That is exactly 50 points, and you today are a winner. Absolutely correct. Seahawks-Packers, and for just that reason, I have been the biggest DK Metcalf stan in the last year. I kept him in our live league. No one goes to the stump for DK Metcalf more than I do. when I saw Russell Wilson was back, I thanked Byron Pringle, my Lord and Savior, and now here we are because you're right. Without Aaron Rodgers and without Russell Wilson, this is like a 40, 42, maybe. With one of them, it's a 50. With both of them, it's a 55. And that's where we are right now. I don't see any chance Rodgers plays this week. He can't possibly be cleared before Saturday by league protocols.
If he runs the Packers the way it looks like he's in charge sometimes, yeah, he'll play. Did you see Jordan Love? Jordan Love needs to change his name to Jordan Not So Good.
Yeah. Or Jordan Disliked. But, and that's a shame because we bet on him in Dynasty, and, well, we'll see what happens there. But I'm betting the over on that. I'll take over 50 Seahawks Packers. That's my pick of the week. I'm taking over the 50. Which leads us to...
That's a stay away.
Oh, you stay away from it?
There. You could have a one team only. If Russell Wilson comes back and they go off for 30, if Jordan Love starts, they're not scoring 20. They can only score 7. They can only score 7 against the worst defense in the league, and you know how bad the Chiefs have been. Granted, Seattle has a terrible defense. I'm saying last week, Jordan Love against the Chiefs scored 7 points.
Okay.
So why should I think a week later he's going to put up 20 points? If Aaron Rodgers is there, it's a given that they will go over.
Okay. I think we're underestimating Love's potential based on a small sample size, but that's just me. But that leads us into our discussion of the next segment, which is the pick of the week. And I'm just going on record. I'm going to take Seahawks at Packers. I'm going to take the over as my most intriguing game of the week for exactly what we just discussed. The quarterbacks intrigue us. Now, before we came on the air, I had to use a cell number that I didn't know. Apparently, it's a disposable phone, but I've gotten the pick from the source. The source is intrigued by Vikings +3 over Chargers. And the source quickly points out, because it only allows him to send 2 text messages from his phone before he has to burn it, that he's 2-0 against the spread so far in these picks. He's taking Vikings +3 over the Chargers. He thinks they will have enough success with the run game to keep it close. So I like the over in Seahawks Packers. The source likes the Vikings +3 over the Chargers. Sinch, is there any game this week that you just look at the over-under or the line or any of the major props and you're just like, man, that's really intriguing to me?
Well, I avoided the over-under because I had to play America's game. But I agree with the source. I think Dalvin Cook is going to run all over the Chargers. Well,
you know what? Let me look up while you keep talking, but I'm going to look up Dalvin Cook's prop numbers because maybe that's an easy place for you to go.
Well, I think that's where you want to go. Anytime you could get the Chargers plus points, that's what you want. Because you don't want Kirk Cousins chasing points. This way he's getting 3. I could see a late Chargers whatever, I could see a 9-point game turning into a 1 or 2-point game, but either way you're getting 3, so you're winning. So I like Dalvin Cook to go over 100 yards. Whatever his numbers are, I would parlay that with Minnesota winning the game outright. Because again, the Chargers have no fan base, even though it's in LA.
Why am I not able to find this? Hold on, let me go to a different site. I was looking at DraftKings. Maybe it's FanDuel, but you got to give me a minute because logging into FanDuel takes an act of God.
While you're doing that, I'll throw a sleeper pick that you could use.
Sure.
In DraftKings, he only costs $4,000. So J.J. Taylor is a Patriot running back. Now, you might not know who he is because he's done nothing. Because he is the 3rd or even 4th running back. But last week, Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris both got concussions. Now, it's possible that they both missed this game, and then J.J. Taylor is your starting running back. Now, if they come back, you're going to want to take this guy out of your lineup because he'll be inactive probably. The thing I like about this guy, he's about 5'5" maybe, and he plays like he's 6'4" because he'll just run at these guys as fast as he can. So I think he's, I'm not calling him a Darren Sproles, but he's that type of player.
Okay.
So
For some reason, I can't find player props on this Minnesota game, and I don't know why.
come on, man.
Seriously, I'm telling you, I'm going to the app on both DraftKings and on FanDuel, and I'm going to more wagers, and it's not appearing anywhere. Let me see under totals here. Totals. Total points, total scores, total touchdowns. These are all team props. Where are the player props?
Wait, hold on, I'm here now. Let me see. I've logged into FanDuel. I'll see if I can see what I need to see and see if I can see it. Sometimes it's there and you just can't see it.
Yeah, I'm not pulling it up. But I hear what you're saying, and that's the thing. I'll let you do that, but we do have to move on. We're already over time. We're gonna have to blow through our DFS picks this week, just because we spent so much fantastic time talking about, Aaron Rodgers and the issues there, and I feel like this is a really good conversation today. So while Sinch is looking that up, I'm going to give you my picks of the week on DFS, and I'm going to let Sinch weigh in on DFS wherever he would like to. There's 8 guys that are over 3x on the metric this week. I'm really loving Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz at 5,900. Well, he's not going to have the most points. He's only going to have 18 points, but at 5,900, his value's through the roof. So I'm using Carson Wentz in a ton of places this week. In terms of running backs, I'm going Jonathan Taylor. 8,100, yeah, he's super expensive. I've got him for 25 points, maybe 26 against Jacksonville, and he pairs really, really well with Carson Wentz. At wideout, I'm using cheap. I'm looking at guys like Rashad Bateman. I'm looking at Tyler Johnson. I even have Brandon Ayuk high on my list. I am definitely looking at Jerry Jeudy. The guru is big on Jerry Jeudy. He has him at 14 points. I have him at about 13 and a half. But it's close. He's also big on Elijah Moore, but Elijah Moore is super cheap at 4,700. I'm probably going super cheap at wideout to try and spend up otherwise. Tight end, another place you can go cheap. I love Adam Troutman this week against New Orleans, against Tennessee. He's only 3K, and he has the potential to score upwards of 9 points. That's 3x value. I love it there. Defenses, you got to pick one. So you know what? I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to take Miami hosting Baltimore because they're only $2,400. Well, Washington's only $2,100. Tampa's way too good in offense. Well, Carolina against Arizona, too good. Titans, New Orleans, too good. Minnesota, they're playing the Chargers. Are you kidding? And you can't take Jacksonville because I just told you that Indianapolis is going to run up the score. So I'm looking at Indy stacks. I love the idea. I think Michael Pittman's a little overpriced this week, which is why I'm not going there. I'm looking to see where he falls on my list. Pittman's up to 6,300. I have him at 15 points. If you're stacking anywhere, you're stacking Indy. There, Cinch. Did I buy you enough time to figure out what you wanted to find out?
I couldn't find anything on the player odds there.
Yeah,
But
for
I
some
will
reason, I'm not
respond.
seeing them either. Go ahead.
I will respond by saying I took the Jags defense. And what you're looking for in the defense, go all the way to the bottom. And then when you get to the least expensive defense, just try and pick the offense that you could imagine turning the ball over. And you come to Carson Wentz. If he just decides to do the Carson Wentz turnover and put it in his left hand to throw it, he is no Mahomes. So
Sure.
I'll take them for 2,200. A guy that I think you absolutely have to use is Pat Freiermuth, rookie with the Steelers. He is coming on strong. They're playing the Lions. He costs 3,900. I guarantee you he'll get a touchdown this week. So
Wow.
that is a cinch guarantee.
Wow. I'm
But
going to
I
fight
also
you on
used
that.
Russell Wilson this week.
Okay. I'm going to fight you on that, and I'll tell you why. I'm looking at and Pat Freiermuth's coming off a fantastic games against the Bears. 6 targets, 5 catches for 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you're right. That was actually his lowest total in terms of yardage the last 3 weeks. And he scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Is he coming on, or has he been used against crappier teams? Well, if he's being used against crappy teams, Sinch is still right because they're playing Detroit this week. So Freiermuth's a decent option. Where do I have him ranked? Or is he just too expensive that I kind of skipped him?
He's 3,900, so that can't be too expensive.
No, he can't be. Where the hell is he on my list? I can't find him on my list. Let me see if I can do a quick search here, and then we'll wrap
I'll just
up.
say it this way. I'll say it this way.
Oh, there he is.
If you imagine the Steelers-Lions game, and you imagine where are the points coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've got the running back. Sure, he runs the ball, he catches passes. Najee Harris, you could use him. Might be expensive. It's not coming to the wide receivers. Ben's arm is spaghetti. He can't throw it past 25 yards. So that means you bring in the tight end, the slot receivers. I think Freiermuth, he's had touchdowns in, I think, 4 consecutive games now.
2.
He's at least 2.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at his
saying
stat. He's had 3.
He
has 3 in his last 2 games.
Let me tell you something. I don't need facts to be true for it to be correct. I am right.
Are you a Trump voter?
I watch politics. I know how this works. What I say is by definition a fact.
Bigly. He has had 3.
Truth is in the eye of the beholder.
Truth is in the eye of the beholder. He does have 3. I have him for 3 catches for 38 yards and a 50% chance of a touchdown, which puts him in the 6 to 10 point range. At 3,900, that puts him under the value line, but it is close, very close. I have him in terms of value as my number 7 tight end. So, since we are way over time, give me your final thought for the week.
Final thought for the week. Well, this past week and the week before, we've had so much news and so much going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the beginning of the episode. And I'm going to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. He's not that good. He's not going to make a difference wherever he goes. Don't pick him up. There's going to be a big media outpouring of, hey, we've got to get this guy, all because LeBron James posted free OBJ. Who cares what he thinks? Let him put on shoulder pads and play tight end, then I'll listen to him. OBJ is nothing. There's a reason why a good, solid, playoff-bound Cleveland Brown team let him go just to get rid of him because they're better by losing him. So when he does sign, no matter who he signs with, don't pick him up. He's not worth it. He is both a has-been and a never was.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
Yeah. My final thought is just going to be that in the last couple hours, as we've been recording this and setting it up, Adam Schefter went on SportsCenter and talked about his reporting on Dalvin Cook. So for those who didn't know, because there was so much news to cover, and this kind of been a back and forth story, I didn't want to go there tonight, but Dalvin Cook was involved in a domestic violence situation, and the initial reporting was that he was pretty much to blame for it, and Adam Schefter was one of the guys who came out and said, here's what just happened, here's what we know, and he actually came out and apologized for only reporting half the story and for saying, I didn't do my job as a journalist. I want to praise Adam Schefter for doing that. So many times, people just go, well, my source told me. Journalists are not Jesus. Okay? Journalists are not Byron Pringle. They don't get their own church dedicated to them like I go to the church of Byron Pringle every week. Adam Schefter owned his mistake, and that's all you can ever ask for. Give the guy a break. In a news cycle that is so constant, he can't even put down his cell phone during broadcasts. You have to be able to understand that sometimes these things are going to happen. And Schefter has been so reliable for so long. you have to give him a pass on that. And you have to sit there and accept that, you know what, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And at least he had the guts to admit it. He admitted it a lot better and a lot faster than Aaron Rodgers did. So there's that. But you know what's not a mistake? I'm going to tell you. Going and leaving us a review wherever you listen to us. Apple podcasts, Player FM, all the different podcast sources you can go to. Wherever you hear this podcast, please go and leave us a review. But you know what's even better than that? Leaving us a review and then interacting with us. Reach out to us. We are at FignutsDFS on Twitter. We're available at fignutsdfs@gmail.com via email. And we're on Facebook, if it's still called that, at the Football Fignuts Podcast. We love to hear from you guys. We love your feedback, and we love your questions. Sinch, thank you so much for stepping in for Captain Allergy over there, who is, taking the recording reins today. Are you over there? You okay over there, Craig? You still awake?
I'm still alive. Thank you,
My God.
thank you, Sinch. Appreciate it.
You do sound really stuffy, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As a guy who suffers from allergies, and I don't suffer them nearly as badly as you do, I'm already out seasonally. Beginning of spring, end of fall, every year, Craig and I go through this. He gets it 10 times worse than I do. So, but Sinch, go ahead. What do you got, Craig?
Oh no, I tried to fight it off, but I lost this time. It was a month-long battle. So
Craig called me the other day and he said, I'm immunized. I've taken all of the medications I can take for this. And I still tested positive. I don't know how this happened. I blame the woke mob. My fiance made me eat clay. So, but Sinch, thank you genuinely for stepping in tonight and for engaging in a fantastic conversation. We really do appreciate it. There is one thing we forgot.
What's that?
We forgot to thank Deb.
Oh, that's right.
So I'll throw that to Sinch. Sinch, say hi to Deb for us.
Hi, Deb.
And with that, we will say thank you for listening. We will be back next week for Week 11 goodness. Hopefully, Craig's allergies will have cleared up. And I appreciate everyone who listens. Until next week, my name is Britt.
I am Sinch.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.